In the 43rd verse of the Ashutat for the Netir Amun, it states, "You, Atimu, who did create beings endowed with reason. You make the color of the skin of one race to be different from that of another, but however many may be the varieties of mankind, it is you that make them all to live." Do you follow? The Muslims and Hebrews call Khnum el-Khaliqa. Khnum el-Khaliqa. Or Ha-Khaliqa. But in Egypt, he was not the creator, but just one of the many creators. You see where the Hebrews and Muslims got their name from? Khalaqun, which equals Khanun. Also in the Nun or chaos, that is El-Nur, the light, he awoke from eons of slumber and opening his mouth issued the word Kun of the Big Bang. And a word the Muslims borrowed also for existence, and the first sound Kun Fayakun, Holy Quran 2682. The original sound assumed form and became the first 8 sea beings. And became the first 8 sea beings. Four females and 4 males, the Ogdoad, the elemental forces that existed before human creation. These reptilians existed in the great abyss or dark sea called Nun. And the Muslims use this Nun as the sea creature in their Quran. The 68th chapter begins with Nun, creation, and Jonah's whale. Then it was said, "Let there be light," Ur or Nur, light, and Nar, fire, in their holy books, Torah and Quran, all from Egypt. And there came hydrogen and helium, the birth of the new sun, physical sun. Tehuti was called a hardened town, which means that he possesses the reason and power, sound right reasoning to utter divine words, and hence is called divine wisdom. In mortals, the intellect controlled by will and directed by mind is wisdom. In ancient Egypt, a mortal thus evolved was called a creature of light, or a brother of the 3 degrees of the blinding light. Light exists in darkness. Religion blinds. It is the Nur light and the Nar fire. Nur, the light as knowledge to heaven. Nar, their fire of knowledge to hell. But in both cases, you must die to find out. If all you have been taught in your 3 degrees of religion is true. In Mosesism, in monotheism, Mosesism, Christism, Mohammedism, and their many denominations, sects, and groups. They all worship the dead and ghost spirit forces by whichever name they choose. It all leads to being dead to get your reward. Spookism, Tehuti, along with Anabu, Anubis, are the judges of the dead, the redeemers and balancers of all worlds, the recording angel to speak, the judgment of the soul in the balance, in the hall of Azarut. Osiris, called the weighing of the words and actions. Action is the meaning of the words of power, not the words of religion, which are words of man. All knowing and knowledge of your health, your death is your knowledge. Wisdom and understanding kept by this Nitir Tehuti in the ancient Egyptian order. There has been a great deal written about this great Egyptian Nitir. Notwithstanding the countless references in his teachings, in the many works upon religion today, this is whom they all worship in monotheism. The many earnest seekers after the right knowledge, right wisdom, and the right understanding, or our right truths, will doubtlessly welcome the appearance of the improved present scroll. The purpose of this work is to set the record straight, not a new doctrine, but rather is to give the student of the ancient Egyptian order a statement of the truth that will serve to reconcile the many bits of religious knowledge that blinded them all their lives, that they may have the facts, not belief and faith of all religions, which are apparently opposed to each other, and which often serve to discourage and disgust the beginner in their quest. My intention is to erect the new temple of knowledge and place it in the hands of the student, a master key with which they may open the many inner doors of the temple of mystery. Through the many portals he or she has already entered, there is no portion of the Egyptian teaching possessed by the world which has been so closely guarded as the fragments of the grand Hierophant Tehuti's teachings, which have come down over thousands of years, which has elapsed since the lifetime of its great founder. Tehuti, the scribe of the Nitirat, dwelt in Old Tamari in the days when the present race of Hyksos or Canaanites, Hebrew, Greek, were not yet grafted into existence, which took place 6,000 years ago. Contemporary with Atum-Re, and because the legends be true, an instructor of that venerable teacher. Tehuti was and is the great central sun of all mystical orders, whose knowledge serves to remove the mystery of light is truth. When supreme beings dwelt in darkness first and then said, "Let there be light." Light blinds. It is an outside force. The countless teachings which have been promulgated since his time, all the fundamental and basic teachings embedded in the esoteric teachings of every school, is traced back to Tehuti. Even the most ancient teachings of India, Tibet, and Sumeria undoubtedly have their roots in the original Egyptian teachings, without which there would be no Bible or Quran in existence. From the land of the Ganges, Many advanced occultists wandered to the land of Egypt and sat at the feet of the master. All Greek masters as well went to Egypt to learn. And from him they obtained a very small portion of the truth, which explained and reconciled their divergent views, and thus the secret master was finally established. Even your Moses and Jesus had their start in Egypt, and the great Moorish teachers of the West, Noble Drew Ali and Dus Ali, had their teachings out of Egypt. From other lands also came the learned ones, excuse me, all of whom regarded Tehuti as the master of masters, the grand hierophant Tehuti. And his influence was so great that in spite of the many wanderings from the path, on the part of centuries of teachers in these lands, there is still the secret teachings called Ha. His mystical teachings as found today with the ancient Egyptian order only, and correspondence, which underlies the many and quite divergent groups that use his names. Correspondence taught by the occultists of these different lands today. The student of comparative religions will be able to perceive the influence of the teachings of Tehuti, in every religion worthy of the name, now known as Mosesism, Christism, Mohammedism, Buddhism, Taoism, and all others. Whether it be a dead religion or one full of vigor in our times with new names. There is always a certain correspondence in spite of the contradictory features, and Tehuti's teachings act as the great reconciler. The life work of Tehuti seems to have been in the direction of planting the great seed truth, right knowledge, right wisdom, and right understanding, producing sound right reasoning, which will take you from behind the night ball, which has grown and blossomed in so many forms, rather than to establish a school of philosophy which would dominate the world's thought. But nevertheless, the original truths taught by him have been kept intact in their original purity by a few men and women in each age, who, refusing great numbers of half-developed students and followers, followed secrets and reserved their facts. Best kept secrets, best kept sacred for the few who were ready to comprehend and master it. From lip to ear, the truth has been handed down among a few. Mum's the word, if you know what I mean. Speaking. There has always been a few initiates in each generation in various lands of the earth who kept alive the sacred wisdom of the Tehuti teachings. As it was called. And such have always been willing to use their minds to reteach the lesser minds of the outside world about the darkness of truth great in them, and put out the blinding light of the torchbearer, Lucifer, that spread its brightest through faiths and beliefs. A light that is lit, caught on, ignited, but does and did not always exist as dark. Calling like knowledge is a fact. For knowledge is simple. To know something. And things happen with the light. But true existence is the pure state in which light is cut off which created the reason to neglect facts. And when the wicks became dim with foreign matter such as religious beliefs, there were always a few who tends to the altar of the truth. Facts. Keepers of the temple upon which was kept the secrets, the perpetual truth of the existence before the light. These beings devoted their lives to the labor of love, which the poet so well stated in his lines, which reads, "Oh, let the light, oh, let the flame die out. Light blinds, cherished age after age in its darkness, in which deity dwelled before saying, let there be light. In its holy temples cherished, fed by pure keepers of love, let the flame die out, the chaos." Unquote. These men and women have never sought popular approval. They were always hated, called cults of all kinds. They are indifferent to these things, for they know how few there are in each generation who are ready for real truth. Speaking, but now the time has come for say who, mummy, to get up out of the Neb-Ankh, the sarcophagus of religion. Many of them hide in everyday life, acting like others, going to synagogues, churches, mosques, acting like the best of Muslims, Christians, or Jews, but keeping the secret sacred in their hearts until the right time. And now is that time to confer this to those mummies and let them claim their rightful throne. Who would recognize the truth if it were presented to them? They reserve the strong minds, whilst others furnish the milk for babies. They reserve their pearls of wisdom for the few elect who want the pure honey, who recognize their value, and who wear them in their Namu's headdresses, instead of casting them before the materialistic worshippers, the Hyksos of today, cursed seed of Canaan, who would trample the truth about ancient Egyptians in the mud and mix them with their disgusting mental food religions. These men have never forgotten or overlooked the original teachings of Tehuti regarding the passing of the words of truth to those ready to receive it. They became Hebrews, Christians, or Muslims just to wait the time to give the real truth Nuwaupu, which teachings is stated in the sacred records of Atumre, called the Black Book, the Holy Tablets, as follows: only a fool ducks when the truth is thrown at them. And again, I came giving you what you want so that you would learn to want what I have to give. But their customary attitude has been in accordance with the other Egyptian teachings. Also, in the sacred records of Tamare, also called the Gold Book. This I know. There are those who have criticized the attitude of the ancient Egyptian order and have claimed that they did not manifest the proper spirit in their policy of seclusion and reticence. But a moment's noticed over the pages of time will show the wisdom of the masters, who knew the folly of attempting to teach to the world that which it was neither ready or willing to receive. No, we did not worship the rock or stone of the statues of our ancestors or rulers, but rather who or what they mean and meant to us. The ancient Egyptian order have never sought to be martyrs, and have instead sat silently aside or inside other religions with a pitying smile on their closed lips. while the religious fools raged noisily about them, claimed that they know Yahweh, Jah, God or Allah, and have the truth, in their customary amusement of putting to death and torture the innocent but misguided enthusiasts who imagined that they could force upon a cursed seed of barbarians the truth, capable of being overstood only by the elect, who had advanced along the path of the 3 degrees of ignorance: Mosesism, Christism, Mohammedism, and the many sects they preach, and move on past this mysticism and fictions for the truth. And the spirit of persecution has not yet died out in the lands they dwell. There are certain Egyptian order teachings which, if publicly promulgated, would bring down upon the teachers a great cry of scorn and revilement from the multitude, which would raise again the cry, "Cult! Cult!" In this little work, I endeavored to give you an idea of the fundamental doctrines of the ancient Egyptian order, striving to give you the working teachings, leaving you to apply them yourselves, rather than attempting to work out the teachings in detail. If you are a student, you will be able to work out and apply these doctrines. If not, then you must develop yourself into one, for otherwise the ancient Egyptian order teachings will be words, words, words to you. Now, let me introduce you to the 4 great Hierophants, masters known as the 4 winds, who are the Netir, Khnum for one. Khnum was from Sanu, Aswan, which is Nubia, Otan Nihisi, Sudan, at Elephantine Island, at the northern part of the first cataract of the Nile. Panitir Khnum, the supreme being Khnum, was a part of a triad, Khnum, Satet, and Atet. He is the Netir of creation. He created human beings from mud fashioned into shape or black mud. He is the God who created in the Bible, Torah of the Jews, and Allah al-Khaliq in the Quran of the Muslims as God. It is Khaliqun, a creator. The same attributes as their God of creation, who molded beings in his image or their image and after their likenesses of the dust, clay, mud, and the earth. The us or we in your Bible or Quran is Khnum's triad, Genesis 1:26. However, Khnum predated both the Torah of the Jews and Christians and the Quran of the Muslims. Now you tell us, how can the name of the gods be that close and the very story of creation be the same unless it was taken from the Egyptians? And they were, all of them. You have more than one creation in your holy book. The first was the creation of the angelic beings, El Melaikat. After that you have the gods, El Elohim. And after that you have Yahweh Elohim. And then the Adams and the Eves. And don't forget Nachash the serpent. Khnum is the one, excuse me, who got the script or the chemical chart in the form of DNA on how to create a being in their image and after their likeness. The Elohim created the black man. Let me repeat that. The Elohim created the black man. The original Asiatic black man, the Hindu. Genesis 1:26 and 27. Black skin, straight hair. Unlike the green-skinned god with woolly hair, as green as the hue of the Ethiopians in Ethiopia. The race of Hindus or Aryans, whose spirit forces are from Nirvana, their own heaven created a man and woman, Genesis 2:7, in their own image and after their own likeness. This Adam was alike in all ways, but skin color he was ghost or transparent in skin, and had white thin hair with colorless eyes. He was evil by way of nature, for this seed was also born, from this seed was also born the blonde, yellow hair, blue-eyed, six-ether beings, who has more than transparent skin, but has an infectious disease called leprosy, the cursed seed of Canaan, Genesis 9:2, Leviticus 13 and 14. All this was begun by the four higher races of beings: the Nitiru of Egypt, the Anunnaki of Sumer, the Nomos of Mali, and the Elul in the heavens, all together called the Nitirat, the gods, the supreme beings. The Negro race, speaking, the Negro race is the sons and daughters of these gods, these supreme beings, and such they are also gods, the children of the Most High. Khnum is Allah al-Khaliq. Tehuti is the one who writes and records the formula as a Natir of the Nitiru, the being who came on the Manjib and landed in Sudan, Africa. Khnum was the actual alchemist, and Tehuti was the one who logs the actual act. Tehuti overseed the project like Enki overseed the project of Ninti of the Anunnaki, the being who came down on Nibiru and crashed down in the Persian Gulf. Khnum's job was to take the beings that are hermaphrodites and hybrids who couldn't procreate and make them into beings that can reproduce in cycles of 9. Spinning of the universe of procreation had several failures and produced a bunch of deformed beings. Albinism is one mistake of what's called ghost people. Let me repeat that. Speaking, albinism is one mistake of what's called ghost people. Before they got it right by breaking the potter's wheel. Are you listening, people? Albinism, ghost people, Caucasians is a failure, a mistake made by our creators. Now ask yourself this question: what happens to laboratory rats that are used in failed experiments? Now you answer the question yourself. Let us continue. So they changed the system from using laboratory tubes and started inserting it inside of females. Khnum gave the power to procreate to female through mitochondria DNA, which gives her the power to give birth. In Nubia, Sudan, he was known as Dedun. The Pygmies called him Khnum, the supreme being of the rainbow, god of the actual 7 spheres that protect the planet from the rays of the sun. Genesis 9:13 through 16. God of the hunters, the human beast. He kills for sport. His bow was made of 2 serpents, the waters above and the waters below, and is visible to mortals as a rainbow. As you can see, the original Ptah'ites had the name first. In time it became Khnum, the one who molded the body and breathes life into them. That would be a creator, wouldn't it? So he was the natir of fertility, and the potter, and Musawwir, the fashioner. When Khnum fashioned and shaped each being from black mud, he would also make their double called the Ka spirit, or you alongside of them. Male and female created he them, and called their name Adam, one being. Male and female, one being. 2 parts. Genesis 5:2. They would have to become one in time, body and spirit. The Nasuf, one self. Do you follow? So, the many tens of millions of rainbow people of planet Earth has just got to be a mistake as well. Coincidentally, it was a plutonium bomb which emitted an extremely bright flash of light on exploding, which was used to decimate Sodom and Gomorrah. Those rainbow people back then were nuked in that biblical account. Just in case you didn't know. So let us get back. Let's continue. So we got Khat body, Ba soul, and Ka spirit. Your own Trinity. Speaking. The 3-part you as God. All others have 2 parts, lacking the soul. Are you listening? This is where all of your religions get their stories from. Khnum created each being and allotted them 120 years of physical life in the light.